You are tied for number 10, tied with Pretty Man for number 10 with 153 points.
Oh, Lord. Go ahead and put me down with Chase Elliott this time. Number 9.
Okay. Mark takes 9. Chase Elliott. It's in the book.
Okay, and write this down. You got a piece of paper. You got a piece of paper and a pen with you right now.
Yeah.
Okay, write down October 19th.
Okay.
Did you get
that? I got it.
And then here's okay. This is a number, a phone number 336 949 4248. The man and Boy Scouts is having a stew.
I had a feeling that was going to be stew.
And they would then you can pick up the stew at 4th Avenue and meet in 4th Avenue meet in the Boy Scout hut on October 19th.
All right, Mark. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks again.
Thanks. Bye. Okay, Martinsville, I guess you heard what Mark said, that on cable channel 5, Reidsville, he can see me. He can see me really little, he said, but he can't hear me. But Charles and Mark said Charles and some guy are on that channel, and he can't hear me. So maybe Martinsville has fixed that already. We'll hope so. Of course, I can't see any of that, so I have no way of knowing. So Martinsville, that is, again, Martinsville, if you didn't catch that, he was watching on... Yes, I do hear you. Okay, thank you, Martinsville. All right, I think that's looked after. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, good evening, Mr. Ken.
Good evening. Can you see us in Danville?
No, Charles is on interviewing some guy named Chris Lawson.
Okay, so...
But I hear you. I hear you.
You hear
on
me?
The air.
You hear me, but you don't see me.
That's right. Well, let's get down to business, please.
Okay.
Where did I finish, sir?
You're in pretty good shape. You're now in third place. You're in third place with 195 points. You're just 18 points out of first.
Also, I finished pretty good yesterday, did I?
Well, yeah, you finished pretty good yesterday.
Oh, you're on now.
Oh, you see me? Hi.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you're in third place, 195 points, and I assume now you're going to make your regular presentation about the next race.
Yes, sir. It's the Bank of America Roval 400. It's 109 laps.
That Roval, yeah.
252 miles track.
In Charlotte.
Yes, sir. Okay, hold on to your horses, everybody.
Okay, I'm holding.
My prediction to win the race at the Roval, clearing my throat. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pick the number 12.
Number 12. Well, he needs a bounce back. He needs a bounce back after yesterday.
Yes, sir, he did. But I have faith that the number 12 will do it. And after Martinsville, I will make my prediction for the championship.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll certainly all look forward to that. So Charles takes Charles takes the 12 for the Roval in Charlotte. It's in the book.
Well, I just want everybody to know where I'm going. But most likely after the Martinsville race, I will predict the champion for 2024.
All right. Well, we'll all look forward to that, because certainly we all wonder who's going to win it.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye, sir.
Well, thanks for calling. And I'm glad we appeared in Danville. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Ken. Taking my call.
Sure.
This is Nice Guy, and I'm going to take Bill Elliott for the next race.
You mean Chase Elliott, I'll bet.
Yeah, that's who I meant.
Yeah, Bill. I don't think Bill's gonna run the next. Okay, that's a Nice Guy. Takes the 9 for the Roval. He's done well at the Roval before.
Yeah, he ain't done good for me this year. I take him every other race because I'm a Chase Elliott fan, and I love to take the same person that I root for.
Well, he's had a tough year, but Roval's been good to him in the past. Maybe this will be his week.
Okay. Well, look, thank you very much.
Well, thanks. Thanks for calling. Good to hear from you. So we've got two folks, Mark and Nice Guy, are taking the 9 for the Roval next week. I didn't have a chance to mail out the points this afternoon. I'll do that if my wife will leave me alone. I will do that as soon as I get off the air here, unless she's waiting outside the door with another one of those things she thinks I ought to be doing instead of what I am doing. But let me run down the points. New leader this week. Citizen D is now in first place with 213 points. The Liberal is second with 196. Charles has 195. Jack, 189. Early Bird, 186. Early Bird and Mr. Pelham, in fact, are tied for fifth place, 186. Then there's Mr. Draper, 175. Captain Midnight and Tar Heel and Mayodan tied at 160. 10th place, Mark and Pretty Man are tied with 153 points for 10th place. We had a lot of ties. Nice Guy and the Avenger tied for 12th with 147. Leon moved up a couple of spots to 14th with 142. Mr. Leaksville, 138. And Mr. Wentworth, 129. And that's where they stand right now, headed to the Roval. And again, my wife willing, I will email those out as soon as I finish here. Phone number. The phone number is on the screen. The email address is up there on the screen as well. And we'd love to hear from you either by phone or by email on this edition of Star Talk. And this emailer says, well, Ken, what about Hurricane Milton? Is that going to cause any problem for us? Not according to the projections. I've been watching the map and what the predictions are, and pretty much every predicting agency agrees on this one. Milton will cross the state of Florida, and we need to keep them in our prayers. Here we are again, a very large and destructive storm. Will cross the state of Florida and then head out to northeast into the Atlantic Ocean. It is not expected to turn toward the north to threaten any of the mid-Atlantic states, although they will see considerable water. It's going to stir up, the tides will be higher, and they'll see some higher water than normal, but the storm itself is not anticipated to come back inland after it has crossed the state of Florida. It's a Category 5 hurricane right now. It is a kind that is not that often seen. Winds 180 miles an hour and more in Hurricane Milton. It will certainly weaken as they do, as it approaches land and makes landfall. It will lose some power, but it's still going to be a very, very strong, very, very destructive, very, very dangerous storm for central Florida, both coasts of Florida. The west coast will get the worst of it, but the East Coast will certainly have issues as well as it crosses. So again, keep those folks in your prayers. FEMA has whatever. FEMA has something like 3,000 people in Western North Carolina. FEMA also has people in New York working in the aftermath of Storm Debbie. People in Arizona working in the aftermath of the Watch Fire in Arizona. Tornadoes in Kansas. FEMA has people in Kansas uh, working to help recovery from the tornadoes, and there's a long list of other places where FEMA people are deployed right now. Um, and they have only about, what I read, only about 9% of their staff is available now to send to Florida. What they'll probably do is hire some private contractors to help in Florida. They can also recruit people from other federal departments, people who have the kind of training that will be needed in Florida. And FEMA is hard pressed right now with all the stuff that's going on. But they say they will get enough people, or they will get enough people to Florida to do what needs to be done. And let's hope that will be the case. FEMA also up against, and this is very unfortunate in Western North Carolina. FEMA is up against internet lies and rumors that are discouraging some people for even applying for aid. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
How you doing tonight, Ken?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. You enjoy the race yesterday?
I always enjoy Talladega. Some people don't like Talladega and Daytona, but I like them a lot. I do wonder, though, how it is that Kurt Busch, who was in pretty good shape in the last lap, decided to jump out on his own to the outside and then finish 19th. I'm not sure what he was trying to do there.
Kurt Busch?
I'm sorry, Kyle Busch. I apologize.
Oh, okay.
Kyle Busch, the number 8. Did you see he just jumped right out of line there on the last lap and disappeared?
Yeah. I don't know, man. NASCAR kind of switching the rules around too again. With this, you can't drive back to the pits. You're done pretty much for the race, and let a couple of them do it yesterday.
Yeah, and NASCAR is forever tinkering with its rules. But I guess that's always with us. But I guess Kyle, not Kurt, I guess Kyle Busch hoped that when he got out of line, somebody would go with him. But nobody did.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, he went from top 5 to 19th and a half a lap.
That's true. I mean, Kyle's never had a whole lot of help at Talladega and Daytona, the drafting tracks. And, Willie hadn't lately, I should say. I mean, back a really long time ago when he was Gibbs a lot earlier, he had some help. But, race after race after race, he'd do a lot of pushing, but nobody would push him much. But, just the way it goes, I guess.
Well, anyway, it was a good finish. Once they finally got to finish, we had 50 minutes to eat dinner between that last accident and when they finally finished the race.
Yeah, that's a fact, Ken. Is Shane Van Gisbergen going to be in the race this coming week, or do you know?
I expect he will be. I'd be very
I'd like
surprised
to pick
if
him
he's not.
if he's...
Okay, so I'll
That's
put
in
you
the
down
garden spot.
for SVG. No, nobody can ever remember his number, so we'll just write down SVG. You're tied for 5th place right now, so you're not anywhere near the cellar.
Yeah, well, it's early yet, Ken. Don't give up on me,
Well, you're in pretty good shape right now.
Well, thank you, sir. Have you heard any of your friends or neighbors or whatever say that this weather up in Asheville was caused by the Biden administration, directed it toward that direction, and just dumped them on them because they were I mean, how can you believe that?
Yeah, I've heard that from about a half a dozen people. I, I I don't know. What they're talking about is HARP. It used to be an Air Force program researching the ionosphere. Started in 1993. The first when it was kind of born at the same time as the internet. HARP was, in a way, it was the first great internet conspiracy vehicle. In 1993, though, they were saying it was a mind control thing, that the government was using it for mind control to make people vote a certain way. There was also a story that the government was using it to control the minds of the Supreme Court justices to cause them to vote certain ways on certain things. So at first it was mind control. Uh, then a few years later, well, actually, uh, past the turn of the century, Hugo Chavez, the president of Venezuela. Everybody remembers Hugo Chavez, who did everything he could to cause trouble for the U.S. President Chavez of Venezuela said he had discovered that HARP was being used to create earthquakes around the world. He actually said that we used it to attack Haiti by causing that terrible Haiti earthquake in 2010. And then the next year, the earthquake in Japan that destroyed the nuclear power plant and caused all sorts of destruction. President Chavez and others said that we did that with HARP. And now it's become a weather control mechanism. So it's very versatile.
And I tell you, some people will believe anything, Ken. I guess this next one that's going to hit Florida, I guess they said, well, they did it in Nashville. I guess they had it for Mar-a-Lago with this next one, but I don't know. Now they're saying, too, that the federal government's withholding money from the people of Nashville.
Well, now,
that's 700.
That is a terrible thing. There are people now who are not applying for FEMA aid.
Right.
They're not applying for FEMA aid because they've heard that if FEMA gives them any money, they have to pay the money back. And if they don't pay it back, then FEMA takes their house, which is not true. They've heard that FEMA is confiscating their personal belongings as security for any money that they get, and that's a lie. There's no truth in that. And there's a whole long list of things that are going around the internet that are actually discouraging people who are entitled for thousands and thousands of dollars in aid from FEMA. They're not applying for it because they believe these rumors.
Yeah, Ken, I had one of my neighbor friends call me this past weekend, spouting the same stuff, and he actually believes it, man. I mean, and I had one question for him. I said, well, I guess, saying all you say, and you won't believe the facts, but I guess you still think that Donald Trump's election was stolen by Biden. Oh, yes, I go to my grave saying that. So some people you can't talk to with any sense anymore.
Well, and all that is as it is, and people, we have free speech, and that's a good thing, and people can say what they want to say. But when you're saying things, when you've got people who have lost their homes and they've lost their possessions, and now because of rumors circulating like this, they're not applying for the aid that they are entitled to and that they can absolutely get, but they're not even applying for it, then you are really messing with people's lives there, and that shouldn't be happening.
No, it shouldn't, Ken. I wish it would change, but I don't foresee it happening. All right, Ken, thank you so much for taking my call, man. I really enjoy your show.
Thanks for calling. Phone line is open now. You can give us a call at that number, or you can email us at the email address up there on your screen. We'd love to hear from you either way, by phone or by email. And this one says, hi, Ken, give me the 24 for the Roval. Okay, let me write that down first. And did I hear right that I relinquished last place? Indeed, you did, sir. You are now in 15th place with 138 points, 4 points out of 14th place. So moving up, moving up. Uh, no matter where you are, it's good to be moving up, Mr. Leaksville. Okay, this one says, Ken, can you explain to me where the United States gets the money to respond to disasters like Hurricane Helene, or to send to Ukraine, or to do whatever it is we do with the money? Where do we even get the money? I thought that we were a broke country. Well, it depends on how you define broke. Um, some people define broke as meaning that you don't have enough money to do what you need to do, so you have to borrow it. And by that definition, we are a broke country. We borrow the money. That after we spend the money we have, we borrow the rest of the money that we want to spend. And that's kind of the way it is. And we've been borrowing money since fiscal 1993. So technically, in the very technical sense, as a nation, we've been broke since fiscal 1993. And we've been borrowing money ever since. So that's where we get the money, borrow it. Fiscal 1992 was the last year that we didn't have to borrow money to pay current bills. So fiscal 92 would have been the last fiscal year of the Clinton administration. But starting with the George W. Bush administration in, fiscal 2000 was the end of the Clinton administration. Since fiscal 2001, ever since then, we've been borrowing money. And that's what we do now. Let's see, so far during the Biden administration, we've borrowed, I think, $5 trillion, but that number is not final yet. In the 4 years of the Trump administration, we borrowed $8 trillion. 8 years of the Obama administration, we borrowed $10 trillion. And that's what we do. So that's the answer to that question. Hello, Ken. Did you say that we probably will not get any weather from Hurricane Milton? Is that your prediction? It's not my prediction. I don't make predictions. Don't make predictions. All I can do is tell you that is what the people who make predictions, that's what they're predicting, that Milton will not be a threat to North Carolina. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Ken, this is Early Bird.
Hey.
What place am I in?
Early Bird, you are tied for 5th place right now. You're tied with Mr. Pelham for 5th place, 186 points. You are just 27 points off the lead.
Oh, 27 off the lead, huh?
Yeah, you're in
Mr. Draper coming in front of me. I believe
actually,
Mr. Draper coming in front of me. I think he come in 3rd, and I come in 4th.
Actually, Mr. Draper, you finished ahead of Mr. Draper. He dropped down to number 7.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
And I'm ahead of him now?
You are.
Well, I can't believe that. I thought he got me.
Well, he would have. I thought he had the 24. I had him down for the 24, and then he called and he said he wanted the 48 instead. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, Ken. I just want to know what place I'm in. So I'm in tied for 5th.
Tied for number 5.
Okay, thank you, Ken. I'll see you later, buddy.
Okay, thanks for calling. Okay, Early Bird, I'm sure Early Bird will be back later this week with his prediction for the Roval. So far, we got Charles with the 12, Mark and Nice Guy have the 9, Mr. Leaksville has the 24, and Charles has the, well, he said Charles has the 12, and Mr. Pelham has SVG, whatever whatever his number turns out to be, and none of us can ever remember his number. But that's who Mr. Pelham has for the Roval in Charlotte. Ken, I have a question about gas prices. Hang on. I have a question about gas prices. Can you tell me what was the average price of a gallon of regular gas for the years from when Obama was president until right now? Do you know? I do know, and I don't want you to think that I know that right off the top of my head. This email actually came in earlier this afternoon, and I looked it up. That's why I happen to know. And emailer, I'll answer that question in just a second. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good evening to you, Ken.
Good evening.
I have a couple. I'd like to ask you a question.
Okay.
To back up a few minutes. When this country chooses to borrow money to pay its bills, which branch of our government actually borrows that money?
Well, it's technically borrowed by the Treasury Department. That's the executive branch.
Okay, but who approves that?
Who approves that? Congress gives them the authority.
Right. So at the end of the line, when we look at it from this standpoint, it doesn't make any sense for one branch of the government to be pointing the finger at the other because it takes both of them to do that. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. In fact, if we want to get right down to cases, Congress is the only branch of the federal government that can spend money. So Congress spends the money and then authorizes the Treasury Department to borrow it.
See, that's one of the and that's I find the American public. Well, let me start this. It goes hand in hand with the political ads that I'm confronted with every day, as are you, about this candidate for the executive branch of the government is saying they're going to lower taxes and the other one's going to raise taxes and vice versa, so forth and so on, when the fact of the matter is the executive branch has no control over what our taxes are, correct?
Executive branch has no authority over that.
So that when people hear Donald J. Trump or Kamala Harris say that the other person is going to raise their taxes while they're going to cut them, that's just Boulder Dash, correct?
Well, again, only Congress can tax and spend. Nobody else can do that.
That's the point I'm trying to get across to people is people understand the three branches of government and their duties and what their responsibilities are. Please educate yourself in this before you go vote anymore. It just drives me crazy.
Now, we should say that certainly the president and different presidents have different levels of success, can and do influence Congress to do certain things, but it is Congress that has to do the deed.
Indeed, and therein lies the rub. Yes, if you have, both parties are in control of both branches, it's a little more likely that something will get passed through like that at the executive branch's behest.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, folks, when you're going to sit here and cast your vote this year, when you get to the executive branch candidates, know this: they're not the ones that are raising your taxes. It's that down party senator and representative. They're the ones raising your taxes.
Well, it is, again, only Congress has the authority to tax and spend.
Very good. Thank you. You've allowed me enough time on my soapbox, Ken. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for calling. It's good to hear from you. And yeah, folks, that's kind of the way it works. Congressman, the Treasury Department borrows money, obviously, by selling government securities. Treasury notes, Treasury bonds, Treasury bills. That's the primary way the Treasury Department borrows its money. but it does all that under color of the law, and only Congress can pass or repeal or change or alter the laws that govern what the Treasury Department can do. Emailer wanted the average price of gasoline going back to when Barack Obama was president until now. And here it is, emailer. The last year that Barack Obama was president, 2016, a gallon of gas on average, national average, was $2.14 a gallon in 2016. Go to 2017, first year of the Trump administration, the average price was $2.82 a gallon. In 2018, no, I'm sorry, that's wrong. In 2017, it was $2.42. Went from $2.14 to $2.42, first year of the Trump administration. Then in 2018, it went up to $2.72. In 2019, it came down to $2.60 a gallon. In 2020, remember what happened in 2020? COVID. The COVID shutdowns came in 2020, and the average price of gasoline for the year 2020 was $2.17 a gallon. Then the first year of the Biden administration, 2021, the average was $3.01. 2022, it was $3.95. 2023, the average price was $3.52. And today, the average price of a gallon of regular in America is $3.18 a gallon. So those are the numbers that you were wondering about, emailer. Yeah. Now you may call now. Somebody may call or email and say, wait a minute, I bought gas today for $2.89 or $2.95 or I recently bought gas for $2.80 somewhere. That's true. But what I'm talking about is the national average. And obviously that varies from place to place. And right now is in these parts, we are a bit below the national average, and we'd like to be there. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Ken, you talk about borrowing money. Do
Yes.
we not have to put collateral up for that?
The full faith and credit. We don't. The full faith and credit of the United States government is the collateral, because the U.S. has never defaulted on a loan. So people buy our bills and bonds without any collateral.
Okay, I just wondered how you was guaranteed the money to get paid back.
Well, again, so far, people accept the guarantee of the U.S. government that they'll get paid back.
Okay, I got one other question. Like that hurricane that's coming now, it sucks all this salt water in the hurricane. But when it rains just regular rainwater. What happens to the salt?
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question. The salt, when it goes into the atmosphere, a certain amount of it goes into the atmosphere, and it blows around and it swirls around and it moves out into the ocean. And the hurricane is so vast and it covers so much territory that the salt is essentially dissipated. That's why we don't get salt rain.
Thank you very much. I worried about that for many years.
Well,
Thanks for taking my call.
Well, thanks for calling. Good to hear from you. Phone line is open at that number. The email address is up there for you as well. And here is another email buzzing in over here. It says, Ken, what if people stop? Well, yeah, this is a good question. What if people stop buying United States government treasury things? Then what? Well, what if you need to borrow money to make your house payment and nobody will lend it to you? Then what? If that happened, the government would lose it would lose that source. And if the government couldn't borrow money, which it's unlikely that it would come to this, but if the government couldn't borrow money, then it would have to spend only what it took in. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Ken. How you doing this evening?
Good. How are you?
Fine, thanks. Going back, you was talking about gas prices.
Yes, sir.
Going back a few years, how much was the gas a gallon in 72 or 73?
Oh, my goodness. You know, I don't have that in front of me, but it was a whole lot less than it is now. It seems to me it was around a dollar or less sometimes, wasn't it?
I think about 30 or 40 cents a gallon.
Yeah, except the one exception to that would be when they did the oil embargo. In 73, OPEC embargoed oil shipments to the United States. And it went up some then, but other than that, it was below a dollar normally.
Yes, do you remember the gas lines back in the days?
Yeah, I do. And those were connected with that oil embargo. I've sat in those lines.
Uh-huh. And you had to line up odd and even for the gas and everything.
Odd and even days, depending on your license number.
That's exactly right.
Oh, yeah. Never forget that.
But anyway, I just wanted to give you a call and, like I said, just see if you can remember when the gas prices or what the price was back in them days.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we love that now. Because during that oil embargo, I was having to drive back and forth to Greensboro not every day, 5 days a week. I was driving back and forth to Greensboro. And so I had to sit in those gas lines a whole lot.
Yeah, well, like I said, I just thought I'd give you a call and see if you could remember them gas lines back in the days. And like I said, you have a good evening.
Well, thanks for calling. Good to hear from you. Yes, indeed. I remember that. I guess that was the first time, and it's been, we're talking 50 years ago, folks. So there's a chance that my memories right off the top of my head are not absolutely accurate. I think that was the first time I ever saw gas at a dollar a gallon, maybe a little over a dollar a gallon. It was during that 1973 embargo. And that was a shock to the system, to say the least. This other email here, what if people stopped buying these Treasury Department notes and bonds and things? What would have to happen? If the Treasury Department couldn't sell them at all, if people said, well, we're just not going to buy that anymore, then, as I say, the government would only be able to spend what it took in. Or the government, as a temporary measure, the government could start, I guess, selling off national parks and things to get some money. But ultimately, the government would have to find a way to be able to borrow money again. And the way they would have to do that, they would have to start offering higher and higher interest rates. For example, a treasury item that you might expect normally 3 to 4% on, they might have to offer you 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 or 15% to expect you to buy it, and that would have a lot of problems associated with it too. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Ken.
Hey.
I had my volume turned down. I couldn't understand why I couldn't hear you.
Okay, well, do you hear? Well, you got me now?
I mean, on the phone.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you now.
All right, you sound good. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I got my driver's license in 1970.
Uh-huh.
And when we had the gas shortage, what was it, 72?
72 and 73.
Well, back then, the gas was like 27, 28, 29 cents a gallon when we had price wars.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've completely forgot about the gas price wars. I'd like to see one of those again.
Yeah, everybody was trying to
hit that
undercut
one
everybody
tight.
else to get the business. And I had a real good friend who owned a gas station. You know, you could only get gas on every other day or a certain day of whatever. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Well, we had a friend on a gas station. About midnight, he'd come down, open up, and let us fill up all our cars.
Good friend. Good friend to have.
He was only allowed, yeah, he was only allowed 10 gallons, if I'm not mistaken, back then.
Yeah, there was definitely a limit on it because I never could fill up. Like I said, I was having to drive to Greensboro and back every day, but I couldn't fill up. So I was in the gas line often.
Wow. Yeah, he would. It'd be 10 or 12 of us, you know, people that we buy our gas there regularly and pay him weekly as we got paid. And so he'd let us fill our cars up at night when everything was closed down.
I wish I had known that man.
He was a really good man.
Let me tell you what happened to me one. Now this was not during the gas shortage. This was just in regular times back then. I pulled into a gas station in Reedsville, East Side Sunoco. Used to be over there on Barnes Street. And you know, back in those days, they'd come out. You didn't have to get out of the car. They came out and they put the gas in the car for you. So I pulled up to the pump. I pulled up to the pump, and the man came out, and I was gonna get what I wanted to get was 10 gallons of gas, but I mistakenly said $10 worth. I said, give me $10 worth. And he said, son, you'd have to bring 2 cars in here to hold $10 worth of gas. But boy, has that changed.
Isn't that the truth? Goodness gracious, that's the truth. Oh, my. Yeah, I can remember when gas was just so cheap, it just, I don't know.
But now let's not forget this part too. In 1972 or 73, when gas was that cheap, I was making $100 a week and thought I was lucky to be getting $100 a week. So there's also that.
Well, me too. My first job at 15 years old, going to school a half a day and working a half a day, I got paid $20 a week.
In cash?
In cash.
That's
hard cash.
That's how I used to get paid. They'd bring me a little sealed envelope, one of those little tiny envelopes with my name on it. Said, here you go. And I could shake it, and hear the coins rolling around in there.
First job I ever had was working at a garage and body shop, sanding on cars and doing body and fender work and mechanic work and stuff like that. And it was straight across the Draper River Bridge, that building on the right at the end of the straightaway.
Yeah, I know it.
That used to be Underwood Motors.
I remember that.
And in 1969, I was working there.
How much did they pay you?
Like I said, $20 a week.
Oh, okay. Well, I remember let me tell you, one more, and then I'll quit, really. My dad worked at American Tobacco Company, and in Reedsville, that was the job to have. American Tobacco, that was the job everybody wanted. And I saw his paycheck one day. This would have been probably in about 1956, 55 or 56. I saw his paycheck, and his take home, his net, was $64 for that week. And at the time, that was a whole lot of money to bring home in a week in the mid-50s.
Yeah. Yes, it was. I've got a friend. He's the same age I am. I'm a few months older than him. He, about, 5 years ago maybe, he started getting a check from the American Tobacco Factory because he worked over there. and he started getting a check for $700 a month.
Okay.
And I'm sure it goes up with an increase every year. I'm sure.
Sure.
But that was just for work there. He never knew he was even going to get it, and he started getting it in the mail one day.
Ball.
Well, that's a nice surprise.
It sure was. Yeah, it's free money right there. Anyway, my time's up. You have a good night, Ken.
Well, thanks. Thank you for calling. We are just about out of time, and we got some emails to deal with over here. Erg. Something wrong with the switch on this phone. It does not react the way it is supposed to. This email says, Ken, how does any more believe any of these politicians? One caller has told all the bad things Republicans have said. Then we got a VP candidate who has said so many things that are not true, like being in China at Tiananmen Square. He was begged to tell the truth and refused. Not sure how anyone can vote for these candidates. Is there an honest politician running at all? If so, please let me know. We know we do not have one running for president or VP, and both parties just blow the debt up. We need somebody to come in and stop all this borrowing and pay down the debt. Thanks, emailer. Hi, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Ken, I heard y'all talking about gas prices and whatnot just here. Well, you know, here in Danville, down on Riverside at Exxon, men still stand out there and pump the gas for you. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a place where they still come out and pump the gas for you?
Sure, right there on Riverside in Danville at the Exxon. Yeah, the man stands. He just stands out there and pump the gas for you. If he ain't out there, he'll come out there and pump it for you.
I did not know that.
Yes, sir. And you know what? And if you need air in your tire, you come up there, the guy come right in there. I'm in the shop part up there, and he'll come out there and put air in your tire for you. So we still have some good old.
I didn't know anybody did that anymore.
Sure does. Yeah, you know they got Exxon up there in Blue Park Shopping Center too. We're not at the shopping center, but up there in Blue Park, they got Exxon up there. And I asked the guy could they put a sticker on for me down on the other side. He said they don't do them no more. But he told me the one up there in Blue Park, they still put some on for you up there. But down on the other side, they'll come out there and put gas for you. And
do they clean the windshield? They used to clean the windshield.
Well, you know, I'm not sure, but I hadn't taken very much notice in cleaning the windshield. But I'm sure he would if he If you would, I'm sure they does. Because I know he's standing out there with a roll of money in his pocket right there. Give you change if you need it.
I didn't know that still existed.
It should existed. I just want to leave you to take good news right there.
Boy, I'm amazed. Well, thank you. Thanks for calling. So there's a place out there near Danville where they pump the gas and put air in the tires. Maybe they check the oil too. If you're an old timer, you'll remember when they checked the oil and cleaned the windshield. Let's see. I need to get back to this email because looks like somebody is pointing out a mistake. You may want to recalculate Leon's points. He had 34, which finished 37th. He had 104 points last race. Okay, I will check on Leon's points as soon as I get off the air. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Ken, this is Mark Amelia, and I forgot to tell you, the Boy Scouts are selling the shoe for $9 a quart.
Oh, I'm glad you called, Mark, because I forgot to mention it. I'm going to do that right now. It's $9, Mark. Thank you for calling. I appreciate it. Stand by for Brunswick Stew news. Mark called me earlier, and I had forgotten to repeat this. October 19th, those of you who like Brunswick Stew, and I know that you do, October 19th, Boy Scouts in Mayodan, call 336-949-4248. That number again, 336-949-4248. It's Boy Scouts Stew for $9 a gallon. So if you want to make sure you get some, again, it's 336-949-4248, because 'tis the season for Brunswick stew. And I know a lot of us are going to be excited about that. Now I got to look at Leon's points here. Leon's points. Thank you, emailer, for pointing that out. Leon had the 34, and in my scribble, it looked like Leon had the 24. So there's a big difference in having the 34 and the 24. So my apologies to everybody, and to Leon too for that mistake. I will recalculate those points. And emailer, thank you for being smarter than I am and noticing that, because I had not noticed. And I need to probably go back to elementary school and learn how to write my numbers correctly, because I can't write my numbers. Let's see. Oh, I don't have time. I'll read this one first thing tomorrow night. That's all the time we have for Star Talk tonight. We're on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Hope you'll join us next time. Thanks for watching. I'm Ken Echols. Hello?
Hey, he said $4 a gallon is $4 a quart.
A quart, that's right. That's right. That'd be a real good buy for a gallon of stew.
Yeah. He needs to correct that.
I'll straighten that out. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Right, bye.
Okay, thank you.
Great roll.